Hey everyone, how's everybody doing tonight? I guess it's about time for our weekly challenge. So as usual, I've prepared a beginner, intermediate, and advanced level beat here. Today's patterns are going to have more of a shuffle on them. For those of you who are unfamiliar with what a shuffle means, where basically, if you know what a triplet is, we're going to be taking more of a feel of a triplet with these. Basically, if we're counting 1, 2, 3, 4, each of those beats is going to have 3 notes within it. So it's going to be counted as a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a, etc. Or you could count it as 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, whatever works for you. So let's get into this beginner beat here. Maybe lower this down so we can see the drums. Let me get my music stand out of the way. Okay. And if y'all want the sheet music for these, as usual, I've attached the link to this video, so you should be able to click on that and see those. Let's get into this beginner beat here. So, like I said, we're gonna have three notes to each beat. So if we were counting 1, 2, 3, 4, that's subdivided into 1 and a, 2 and a, 3 and a, 4 and a. So then with the hand, we're going to be playing 1 and a, 2 and a, 3 and a, 4 and a. So just get used to playing that for a second if you're unfamiliar with what a shuffle is. 1 and a, 2 and a, 3 and a, 4 and a, 1 and a, 2 and a, 3 and a, 4 and a. And then for the full beat, we'll basically be doing our kick drum on 1 and our cross stick on 2. Let's talk a little bit about your cross stick here. You could do it with the fat end of the stick, get a little bit of a fatter sound to it. I usually just do this end, so that way it's easier for me to switch back to a snare hit if I need to. But before you get too involved in your sticks here, you want to really find where on the drum it makes the best sound. So I like it there. Let's put it all together. So again, that's the full beat. Right hand is doing that swing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And you're just doing kick on 1, cross stick on 2. Okay, there's the beginner beat. Moving on to the intermediate here. So this one gets a little trickier because we're moving between a snare hit and a cross stick. We've also got a little bit, got a little complicated on the foot here near the end of the measure. So you'll see that here. Again, it's a lot easier to look at the sheet music if you're trying to follow along as opposed to me explaining it. If you are able to get that, just click the link on the video and it'll take you right to it. Okay, so here's the intermediate beat. Messed up a little on the end there, but that's all right. Again, just look it up. It's a little easier. The way I wrote it, I'm actually counting my triplets in this one as 16th note triplets, just because it's the way I wrote it. It's the way I was counting it at the time. You can subdivide that out and make it to where you're just counting them as normal 8th note triplets, whatever works for you. But I'm basically counting them as 1 triplet and triplet, 2 triplet and triplet, sort of thing. Okay. And now this advanced one, I have been practicing this for a couple hours today. It is quite complex. So I'm asking for forgiveness if I don't nail it. I've gotten to where I can pretty much nail the first 2 to 3 measures. It's 4 measures total. Once I get to that 4th measure, sometimes the 3rd, I start to lose it a little bit. So I'll try to go through a couple times. If I'm really screwing it up, then I may just take it a measure at a time and break it down a little bit. What I'm planning to do with these, by the way, I'm going to start going a little more in depth, since we're putting a beginner, intermediate, and advanced groove all into one video. You know, I know that if you're a beginner drummer, you may not want to stick around for those harder ones. If you're an advanced drummer, you may not want to sit through the beginner ones to get through that advanced groove. So what I'm going to start doing is kind of divide. One day is going to be the beginner, then we're going to go to the intermediate, and then the advanced. So I'm thinking Sunday night I'll introduce all of them, kind of like I'm doing here. Monday night, go over the beginner in more detail. Tuesday night, go over the intermediate in more detail. And then probably take Wednesday and Thursday to break down the advanced groove, since it's usually got a lot more going on in there. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. If y'all have any other thoughts of how you want me to handle that, then let me know. Okay, advanced groove time. Let's see how it goes. So again, I made it through 3 measures. I'm going to try to tackle this 4th measure by itself. This one's been giving me the most trouble. All right, here we go. Starting over. All right, it's something like that. I'm going to start from the top again. I'm going to get as far as I can into it, and then I'm going to practice more on my own. Starting from the top again. And starting from the top again. All right. We're going to stick with that. So I'm going to keep practicing this thing. Like I said, tomorrow night I'm going to plan to go a little more detailed into that beginner groove. Tuesday night we'll dive more into the intermediate. And then Wednesday and Thursday night we're going to dive into the advanced. And by the time we get to there, I promise you I'll be able to play the whole thing through. Again, I write these, and as I'm writing them, I don't necessarily I'm not necessarily being nice to myself. When I go to learn these later, I'm like, oh my goodness, what have I done? But I like it that way because it keeps me challenged. And once you finally master it, oh my goodness, there's no better feeling to just come up with this complex thing and then just